Hello, Midnight Coders, and welcome to another Dev Cafe. Unfortunately, my co-host is not with me today. It is just myself, and we're doing a code review. If you want to take part in this code review, by all means, join me in the chat. And today today we are reviewing a user-submitted project. This is one module from their project, and we are reviewing the Central Authentication Service. So we will be checking out for details like design choices, level of security within the project, as well as how secure the project itself is. And we are going to see how many best practices it follows, and I'm extremely quiet. Really? Do you think it's the wrong microphone? It should. Okay. And this sounds like I'm very far away or very quiet. Okay. And if I'm on this, it seems to work, but I just sound very quiet apparently. Um, well, because right now it's not even picking up my heads. I'm gonna have to. Apparently I can barely be heard. Um, I am going to have to, for those that can hear me, I'm gonna have to reschedule this live stream. I am having a little technical difficulty. Um, I will I will I will try this again if I can figure something out. If not, it might have to wait until yeah, no. What's going on is for some reason it's not picking up my headset microphone. I think I might need an updated driver or something. But it's instead using my webcam's microphone to hear me, which is why I sound like I'm far away because I'm about 2 feet away from the microphone. Um, so if I can get this sorted, I will be back. I'll be back live in a few minutes. However, if you do not hear from me in the next few minutes, that means there is something more than just a driver update. Um, and I maybe a little bit longer. But bear with me. Yeah, I need to see if my yeah, I will be I mean, yeah, I can get away with using just the webcam mic for now. I just might need to talk a little bit louder, which I'm very sorry about. Um, yeah, um, let's roll with it, I guess. Um, I I will I'll just roll with this, I guess, and we'll go with it. Um, yeah, that's really weird. It's really weird. Um, oh, shoot. Okay, hold on a second. Is this? Oh, sorry. I thought I might have had this here because I found I was looking at my, because I got Razer headset. I was wondering if it was an issue there, but oh, test? No. Okay. Well, I thought that might have worked, but I. All right. So we got some code that a user has provided us tonight. So we will be checking it out for design choices, level of security for the overall product, our project, as well as how close it follows best practices, as well as anything else that we may happen to find along the way. Um, so let's make sure we've got that full cup of coffee as we dive on in. Okay, so here we are. Now, first thing I like to do is pop into the Palm. And we're gonna check out the old Palm file and make this nice and big. All right, look at that. Everybody can read that. Wow. Okay, hold on. We're gonna go down in size because I want to keep my thing over here, and instead we're just gonna zoom in the text like a boss. All right, that about looks good. Okay, so yeah, that about looks good. All right, so uh, going through the okay, Java 21. Okay, we're using Javelin. I personally have never used Javelin, so this will be kind of interesting to see it. I was poking through the project a little earlier on, and it pretty much seemed like it was a pretty straightforward. So we're also using SLF for J. We're using Jackson. I do want to point out that Jackson is actually on version 3 now, um, which actually does have some better mapping for which does have better mappings for JSON objects. So this here could be upgraded to the more recent version. I would probably suggest that as being a bump. I see we're also using SQLite for the for the JDBC. Java 21 is not exactly ancient. We do have Prof in the comments making some comments, guys. If I should have invited Prof onto this podcast. Hey, Prof, you want to join the podcast? We got some password for J, uh, which is which is good. I don't know what version it's on, but I'm from the Spring ecosystem, so but Spring also happens to use this. I use it myself for using bcrypt. I'm imagining he's using something similar. Um, all right, no problem. Prof, that was just off the cuff anyway. So we're also looking at we're using the community dialects of Hibernate. I do believe there is an official one. Oh, that is really good to hear, Prof, because I will be looking to. I'm going to be flying solo next week, not this week. This week, Hayden and I are doing a podcast with Sentryman. Although in the following week, I am actually looking to do some bookings, so I will definitely hit you up because I just love what you always have to bring to the table. Um, all right, and we're also using JWTs, which I love to see. We're using Juice as our dependency injector. Why is this being flagged? This has a couple of CVEs. More actions. Show me the info. Sure, for this one. Is there any way to make this better? Weakness type, top fixes. So this recommends using a newer version of Juice. Sorry, Guava. Okay, that's part of must be a part of Juice. And let's check out this one. Again, upgrading the Guava. Okay, so I wonder if there is a. It makes me wonder if there's a newer version of Juice, not just 7, which no, by the looks of it, 7 is the latest. Interesting. Okay. And then we got some testing libraries here. We got Jupyter. I like to see Macchiato, and we got some compile. Okay, and we're looking down through the build plugins. We're giving it a main class. chart with dependencies, cool. And do that for, we're gonna execute executions of packaging. Make it a single. Okay, cool. I like that. I like it. I like it. All right, and let's check with the main method. All right, so in here, love you, prof. For you don't, I'll see if I can remember to remind you to turn me down at the end of this. All right, so up here we got our injector, building an auth controller, a token invalidation controller, an invalidation cleanup service, a and an init service. Keepers, that's hard to say fast. All right. So remember here we're just building up the dependency. Okay. So we're taking the Javelin app and we are creating it on port 8080. Okay, that's pretty default in the Spring world. So this is pretty cool. As far as this goes, before matched, I believe that that is the equivalent of um, a filter chain in Spring, where if the user has no roles, or if the root requires no roles, um, it looks like we're just gonna return. Whereas the role header, we are checking for a custom role. That's pretty good. The role doesn't exist or it is null. We'll throw in user offers in. Okay, then we're trying to map the value of this to the role, which what is the role? User or admin. Okay, pretty straightforward. And if the context root contains role, or in this case, if it doesn't contain the role, then they have forbidden access. And role being the role that the user has. So if this root has roles and it does not contain the role that we require or that we have, forbidden access. Cool. And then we are adding this role to the context. And it looks like down here we're setting up all post requests that are going to come to the login, are going to be is going to go to the authentication controller to be handled. And in here, the login handler looks like it is we're going to go into the validator. Okay. So in here, if we're going to make a login request, it's going to go into context and body validator to see if it is that of a login request, which a login request is simply a record of a username and password. So we're going to make sure we're going to do a check on this, which I really like how he's doing this, which comes from the validation. I like how this is done. So we're going to check to see if the object is not null. So we want to confirm that it's not null. Otherwise, we're going to throw an error saying that the body can't be empty. Next, we are going to check to see if the username. Okay, so here we're just confirming the username and the password are not null or blank, which is good. And then we're taking that login request and we're going to grab the access token from the service login. Okay, what is the service login? So the service login is going into the user service to get the user, which is coming here to get a user by username. So it's going to go into the user repository to find user by username. Otherwise, this. And if we check out this, this is going to be using Hibernate's session factory. and it's going to try to open up a session, and it looks like it's going to select a user from the user table where the u.username is equal to the username that we've provided, and we want to return it as a user.class, which user.class. Okay, so we're providing this of identity. Perfect. We are double checking this. Nice. Uniqueness. I like that. That is perfect for user uniqueness. I probably would have reworded this here to password hash over password, just because. Um, okay, and here we're retaining just the ordinal of the user role rather than the string. Okay, okay. This here should not be package private. You'll see that this also comes and says that this should be either protected or public for a no args constructor. It should not be technically package private. So we can either make this public and everything's happy, or we could make this protected and everything's happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and say public because that'll just make everything happy. All right, so now we were in here. So then this is going to now set up a parameter of username to map with the username that we provided so that this is happy. And then we want a unique result. Okay, cool. So that's going to be our user. And we are going to return an optional. I love that this has optionals as well instead of, because nulls are bad. So we pop back into here. So we want to get that user, or else we're going to throw a user not found. Perfect. So now we have our user in our login system, and we are going to then check that if the credentials are this again. So we're checking if the credentials are not valid, then we're just going to straight up and credentials not valid. Okay, so down here, credentials not valid. We are taking in the plain text and the stored hash, and we are comparing the two of these. And I like that. I love that we're doing that with Aragon. Okay, that is perfect. I usually use bcrypt myself, but I mean, I believe Aragon is either the standard or it's next to bcrypt, one of the two. I don't fully remember. This could be written a little cleaner because technically you're not doing anything with this response in between that and returning it. So like this here could all just be boiled down to a simple return here, and we can forget this. As well, when you're using a service like SLF for J, for your logging for your loggers, you can actually take it with parent. You can pass in you can actually pass in a parameterized, I forget exactly what they're called, but essentially cleaner string. That way, if you have many parameters, um, this can help clean things up. And you can just simply put in curly braces as they will be replaced in order with uh, your thing. It's sort of like the string formatting, except this is how the logger tends to format things, and then you just pass in the objects at the end, separating with a comma like regular our arguments. So yeah, so that was from the login process, and that returns us an access token. Okay, So let me step back into this. This gets a string. We had the user. Okay, so that's where we validated credentials. And so we know our credentials are good, perfect. And next is generating a JWT. Okay, let's see how we're doing this because I'm really curious on this. Okay, so we're passing in the user. What are the parameters? A user, a token, or a token type, and an expiration date. Okay, so we're passing the user. We're passing in a type token of access now, of access token. Okay, so we got a refresh token, an access token, and a password reset token. Um, I I'm not 100% sure what the password reset token is. I personally have not used that in very many things, but we're going to find out. We'll find out as we go along. So while we're building the JWT, we're going to take in the user. We're going to pass in this is an access token, and we want it to be we want it to expire in 2 hours. Okay. Um, Personally, I would probably make this an hour at absolute most. Um, uh, yeah, no, at absolute most, oh, yes, I certainly am. Yeah, I am just for those of you wondering who I'm talking to. Hayden has just gave me a call. Turns out he may be available for this. We'll find out. In the meantime, so yeah, this has a JWT 2 hours. I I personally would go like maybe an hour at like absolute most if I was being generous. Generally, I go with a JWT of maybe 15 minutes, half an hour, uh, something short. Rule of thumb when you're using JWTs, so when I grew up, um, everything was just short-lived access, long-lived refresh. Um, so my recommendation here would probably be to make this a little bit shorter. Okay, let me. All right, so we do have Hayden jump. We do have Hayden gonna. We do have Hayden. We do have Hayden joining us. Jeepers, that was hard to get out. He won't be on camera at the moment because we don't have time to set that up live. However, let me unmute this so that Hayden can finally speak to us. We do have Prof in the in the comments. He's doing some mathematical equations while listening to our little podcast. And because Hayden just joined in, and we may have a couple of others that finally joined us, we are reviewing a user submitted piece of code or project that is the authorization to it's one of their microservices. This just happens to be the authentication service.
Right. This is from Ruben, right? This is Ruben's.
Correct. It is Ruben's.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I took a quick look into this. Honestly, dude, the code was very clean. I
Right.
didn't have much criticism.
I don't really have a whole lot at the moment either, to be honest with you. So I started out here, and I've ran through kind of the basics of starting it up, and right now I'm going through the authentication controller for the login process.
Mhm.
And I just stepped in here where we're returning a token to the login, and I'm walking through here, and now we're down to the point of generating the JWT, and I just have to
Mhm.
talk about why I disagree with the 2 hour for the short-lived access token.
Can you tell me about that? Why do you disagree with that?
Uh, because it's best practice to keep your access tokens to a short window or a small window, because if by chance you get hacked and somebody gets access to your cookies, they now have your token and it is say good for the next 2, 3, 4 hours. Then that becomes problematic because
They have 2 hours to brute force it.
they have 2 hours in your account at this point because they
Right.
have your JWT. So they don't have to brute force anything. They just have a 2 hour window in your account until the token expires. Whereas
Oh,
if
I see.
whereas if you only had a 15-minute window, by the time somebody hacks you, they like dumps your details, get and like they won't have very much time to do things in your account that way.
Right.
And then when it comes time to refresh it, um, generally depending on how your authorization system goes, and I really haven't gone that far into this yet, um, the signature would essentially be broken.
Right. That makes sense. That's awesome. I learned something because that makes a lot of sense. I have a couple questions. So how would that work between sessions on your account? Would you share the same token, and how would you synchronize that?
So ideally, what I actually have like 2 videos on this on my channel, but the way that it generally goes is that when you first log in, like he's doing here, he's doing some validation and whatnot, and now we validated and we're at the point where we can create a token. So what happens here is we return the token generally, and that token gets passed around as a header to every page, and every page then technically decrypts that and it checks it every time if the signature is valid, if the expiration has happened, and this, that, and the other thing. So that way, if a token is expired and it tries to reload the page or load a new page or access a new resource or re-access the same resource, um, then it won't get it because the token is essentially expired.
Right. That's very interesting. So,
So
I was gonna say, this I'm totally going off topic. I did look at this repo, um, prior to us even talking about it, really.
whoa,
The one piece of criticism I
sorry,
had.
sorry, sweet Jesus, his his
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
refresh
Okay.
token.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Use multiplication. If it's going to be in an integer, you do 60 times uh what is it? 60 times 60 times 24 times 6 or times 31 times 6. I guess that doesn't account for
Well,
the days of the month, but it doesn't matter because it's time.
first and foremost, 6 months is a huge time for a refresh token. Like they are supposed to be long lived, but like when they say long lived, it's usually like 7 days. Like I've never seen a refresh token go longer than a month at most. So 6 months is kind of wild.
Yeah, sorry. My criticism was very secondary and also very
Oh no,
different. Like
100%,
your
100%.
your your mind went straight to security and mine went to like readability.
Well, honestly, my first thing was going to be this. My second thing was going to be, what the hell is this magic number? Why are we
Right.
not using exactly what you had stated? So I was getting there. You just happened to be there quicker than me. I spotted the security thing. You
It's
spotted
just a
this
different
first.
our brains just went on different paths.
I do like how that
Yeah.
worked, though. I do like that. Like how that worked. So I like here he's using RSA, so he's storing a private key and or a public key and a private key, and this here I did notice was in another file here, the for the module, and it's looking into a data file to look for the private key and public keys,
Okay. Yeah.
which we don't have, so I can't actually run this program to actually
Right.
fully test it. Um, but just keep in mind that there
Can you
is.
please go back to that injection module? So this is a piece of criticism that I had when I was reading this code base.
Actually,
So it looks
perfect.
like you have
I just
the
forgot.
juice.
This is a juice project, and you've worked with juice, and I
Yes,
haven't.
I'm aware. My criticism with this is that they use the juice dependency just for the named annotation for explicitly these two variables. If you only needed the private key and the public key to be injected into your class, and that's it, you're only using that, like you're only using juice for that explicit purpose, you probably shouldn't have used juice, right? If you're going to use juice, I would have liked to seen more dependency injection in the project, because it seems like a waste
So
of having a whole dependency in the project just for that single thing.
this is his. So here at the beginning, which you missed.
Oh,
Uh,
he's got different juice injectors and modules. Oh no,
yep.
that's just the injection module.
So he has the injector
Um,
here, and then he's using it to do the auth controller. It looks like he's getting an instance of the auth controller, and for the token invalidation, he's getting an instance of that controller, and then the cleanup service. Um,
okay.
so he should look. He is
Okay,
oh,
yeah.
oh and an init service as well.
I
Um,
also I didn't read. I will say right now, I skimmed over it. I'm
mhm.
so sorry. I thought that was the only place you were using juice. I was totally wrong.
So he does have this through there, and he's using Javelin for the web server, and
Right. So we're not using Spring.
correct. Which is interesting
Right.
to me because I'm very familiar with Spring and I've never used Javelin before. So
And it
this is a
still seems
very
very familiar, doesn't it?
it does because up here, see, we don't have to state 8080 because it's default for Spring. Um, Whereas it seems like I've looked inside of here and it doesn't look like there's a nowhere constructor taking a default parameter. However, I do find it very simple. And this here, as I stated before you came in, this before matched is very much a security filter in Spring Boot, where we
Right.
and then down here is where we're telling the app that we want all post requests to this endpoint be handled by this, and that's where we stepped in, and then we were going to go to the next after I finished going through here.
Yes.
Um,
I really like. Oh, sorry. 1 second.
yeah, no problem.
There you go, baby. I really like how Javelin is explicit and it's not doing these magical things. So that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
criticisms that I have had of Spring, where like you do something and it just does it. Like you add an annotation for like a post mapping or a get mapping, whereas this you have to explicitly state whether it's a post mapping or a get mapping.
I do like this as well, like how it's laid out. Like again, I've never seen this before, but I'm liking what I see so far of it. And
Right.
so once we have this JWT, we're now going to create an access token response and passing in that. And I'm curious to what this is. This is just a Java record. Okay, cool. Um, so then we do have this access token, create context of magic number. I do not like magic numbers. So this one here, you could actually come in with Javelin's HTTP status of accepted, because all of oh sorry, no, okay is what I needed to, what was what I meant to take there, because these all have the code, and we best practices are to not use magic numbers. 401, 401, 401. What is 401 again? Unauthorized, right? Copy that. And we'll do the same thing here. Unauthorized, unauthorized. It just becomes easier to read if you have it. Um,
Absolutely.
and I am going to be making these refactors, but I can't really push it to the repo. So Ruben is going to be watching this live stream as a recorded video once, because I believe he's in bed right now. Anyway, so it looks like we're returning all okay, and we're returning with the JSON. which if we pop into the README file, um, according to this, if we make a post here, um, we simply should be getting back a 200 with the access token, um, which, as we've just read, we definitely do get back there. Um, so jumping back to wherever we came from, which was main, that was handling the login correctly. Yes, and then we return that login handler. Um, so next we're going to look at the authenticate. This one here is get request, and let's handle the authentication. So here we're jumping into here. We don't have to manually check if the request body is JSON. Javelin will throw a connection fit if it's not. Okay, perfect.
I love how you paraphrase that while you were reading it. That's a skill in and of itself.
So,
Doesn't throw a conniption fit.
hey, I just saw Javelin will throw and then I just kind of added conniption fit because that's what I assumed was coming.
No, that was really good. That was really good.
And then as I read this, I thought, oops. And then, yeah. So anyway, access key. We're gonna go into our authentication utilities, and we're gonna extract the token from the context, or else we're gonna throw in unauthorized. So let's pop into extract and see what this does. So this one here, I really like this. Okay, so this one here, he is checking that the authorization header is here, and from it, he's grabbing the bear. He's seeing if it starts with the bearer token or with the word bearer, because that's how we know it's in a JWT's bearer token or whatever. Anyway, if not, it's going about an optional of empty. Um, and then to grab the token, we're going to first use a regex to replace the first. I mean, this right here. Funny enough, is explicit of itself, but he actually has this character, which in regex means um, everything after it. We want to simply replace the very first instance and only the first instance of this with this. In this case, we're stripping it of everything. Whereas if we didn't have this, if there happened to have been the word bearer with a space afterward, that was part of, for some reason, the bearer token, um, then it would get replaced as well, and then everything would go sideways. So I do like the fact that he is using the, I've always called that a hat, uh, but the caret
Carrot.
operator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One. Okay. My brain immediately seen like what happens if bear is lowercase.
um, Actually, I don't know if
It's
that handles it.
it's not necessarily I'm sorry, it is best practice to follow the spec, which is have all of your names be uppercase. However, it has to be like it is case sensitive. So it has to be uppercase and it's looking and matching against things that are uppercase. So what I would do instead would be convert it to lowercase and then check if it starts with bear with a lowercase b after you've
Well,
converted
see,
the header to be lowercase.
see, the problem with that is the authorization token itself. Um, it can be upper lowercase itself, and that is extremely
Sure,
case
but then
sensitive.
so okay, that's a good point. That is a very good point. What I would do then in that instance is I would split between bearer and the space in the token and then convert bearer to lowercase.
Mm. Yeah,
Because you cannot guarantee that somebody will use bearer with an uppercase B.
that is a very fair point.
Although you are definitely correct because the token should be case sensitive because that does matter.
Hmm.
But the token or sorry the actual header name itself should be case insensitive.
This is true. This is true. Oh, that is a very good point. Hopefully, Ruben will take that into consideration and maybe submit us a follow up, which would be kind of cool. All right, so back in here, so we're grabbing the access key. Otherwise, we're throwing a connection fit that we're not authorized. From here, we're going to then, by the looks of it, we're looking to create an authentication response, which is going to be the authenticated user. So we're looking to authenticate them. So we pop in
Also,
here.
first of all, I admire this so much. I admire this so fucking much. I love all of the early returns and all of the different errors. I love this.
Hmm.
It's very verbose, but in a good way. This is a good verbosity.
Funny part is, I think I was in here a moment ago, and I think I scrolled to the bottom and made a comment on this here and how I changed that, and I think because I inlined this, which is funny. Anyway, so authenticate user. Is this only got used one place, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I jumped the gun and went in on that one. But anyway, here is. Okay, no, I didn't run through. Anyway, so yeah, we're checking to see if the access token that we're providing is either null or empty. Then we're gonna say no go, illegal argument. The decoded JWT, we are going to use our token verification service to verify the token, or else we're going to throw a authorization failed exception, which I must say I do like. I do like his use of some custom exceptions. Like they're just essentially runtime exceptions, but like
I do
I don't know.
too. Yeah, no,
I
that's
like
good
that.
though. I do like it a lot.
It's very more explicit. Which funny enough I also had a video on recently, so it's funny that I like to see how he's following his own best practices. Um, oh yeah, also if in case you're wondering why my audio sounds weird, I'm having some issues with my headset. I think it's a driver issue or something at the start of this podcast. So it's actually picking up my microphone from my webcam. And for those of you listening who wonder why I sound different, that is why. Um, so let's go jump into the verify and see how we're verifying this token. So in here, we are verifying the token, which, oh yes, I was also in here earlier. We were checking about this public private key, or maybe that was in a different class. Anyway, we are verifying here the algorithm. We're passing in the key, and we're using the JWT provider from, where's that from? That is from the OAuth, and we are requiring this algorithm, and we're making sure that we have the issuer of YYCAS, SAS, however you want to say that, and we're building the verifier, and then we're coming down and decoding it. So the verifier, we're going to, what does the verifier do? Okay, so verifier just decodes it, essentially. Verify the algorithm, verify the jot, verify the claims, and returns the jot. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so, and then we're going to return that JWT. All right.
I would also like to say I love the use of optionals.
Yeah, I
This is
commented
this
on
is
that
less
too.
of a code criticism and more of a code praise.
He's
Um,
made a lot of
I
smart
haven't.
choices. I love it.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm noticing some very little things, but they're very little. I
Like
do
the
want to
magic
say
numbers and like,
right, but it's not anything that necessarily affects the code. Honestly, it doesn't even really necessarily affect the readability of the code. Like we understood it just fine. We're being very pedantic,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, of course, it's technically better to do it without magic numbers, but I've had absolutely no problem reading the code thus far.
Oh, neither have I. Obviously,
I
I'm here
honestly,
reading it like a
props to
book.
you, Ruben. Props, Ruben. You were doing a really good job.
Um, so here we're checking the date token to expiration date, and uh, if the date doesn't exist, we're throwing a missing date exception or an exception, an authorization authentication failed with a missing date, expiration date. Otherwise, we're checking to see if the expiration date is before right now. We're saying token is expired. Otherwise, we're grabbing the token type. Um, Now, the token types again is something that I'm still questioning about the password one. Um, because Hayden missed it, we're going to jump back to it. So the token types are an access token, a refresh token, and a password reset token. Which,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm still waiting to find out what that's used for. Uh, so if the token type is missing, then we're also failing because the token is missing. Um, Also, I noticed that we're not even using the token till later, so that probably could have went down the list here. Um, the date, because I feel like this date, like after we check the expiration date is not null and it's not expired. Um,
Yeah. So one
anyway,
thing,
I guess I just
he's using the token type immediately. So on line 67, he's checking if it's null, and then he's throwing if it's missing a token type, which
yes,
is probably more important than the rest of the calls, which is why he's doing that.
very
Because
true,
he wants it to fail fast, right? You
very
want
true.
your program to fail fast. So I feel like there's probably extra computation involved
Oh,
if you didn't add that check right there
I do have to
above the others.
If you want to continue to read through this, go for it. I just have to run to the washroom really quickly. I do
Yeah,
apologize.
no
Too
worries.
much coffee, not enough bladder.
So, okay, so you get your token type and you check if it's null. And if it's null, you throw the exception, you're missing your token type. And then I see. Okay, so if it's null, you don't want to do no, decoded token is not the same as token type, but I'm assuming oh no, it is. Okay. So decoded token dot get claim token type. So I'm assuming that if your token type is null, then your your token ish or sorry, your decoded token is also probably corrupted in some sort of way, which is why you don't call functions on the decoded token until after you've received the token type. Or oh no, because you do it before that as well, so that can't be it.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry about that.
there's got to be some reason you fail fast. I'm not seeing it right now, but I'm assuming this is correct. Just based on intuition, I think there's some reason for sure that you're failing fast there.
Fail fast is always a good thing. Um,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
I'd rather fail fast than fail later. I want to know
hmm
what's wrong right now.
this is
Well,
true. This
like
is true.
I don't
Um,
want to find out what's wrong when it's too late, man. I don't know about you.
so we're also grabbing the subject, validating the subject, and then we're gonna. Okay, so the subject is an integer, and the user, which is the user ID, and then token validation. Uh, Token is invalidated for. So okay, sorry. So if the token is invalid for this user and date issued, so let's pop in here. So this here
So it's
is
just checking if it's expired.
mhm. And okay, and we're finding it. This is also using SQLite, by the way, dude. So he's using
Nice.
JDBC and SQLite for this. So his repository, he actually is doing this, whereas JPA is just extending an interface and does all the magic for
Right.
you.
I'm
So
under. I'm
big
assuming that.
big
Sorry.
problem.
What's the name of the Javelin? I'm assuming that it has some sort of ORM. So he's not writing SQL queries by hand. It's probably doing some magic under the hood.
Nope, this
Although it's
is using
probably a lot
Hibernate.
less.
This is using Hibernate, actual Hibernate, not
Right. So
not
so
from
he's not
Java.
writing raw SQL queries.
It's not from Java.
It's using an ORM.
Yeah, well, it's using okay. fact, we were in the palm earlier reading through this. Javelin here. He's got Jackson for his data binding. He's got the SQLite for the JDBC. He's got Hibernate as the ORM and other things as well. But yeah, Hibernate is technically his ORM. How were we? Okay. But yeah, big props to him for using JDBC versus like something like JPA because I don't know. I use
Well,
JPA because my
JPA uses JDBC. JDBC is
yeah
the driver that
JD
drives the actual.
JPA is on top of Hibernate, which is on top of the JDBC, which an
JPA,
entire
I believe, is vanilla Java. I believe it's in the JDK. So Hibernate actually it extends the not extends, but it uses JPA or the JPA annotations.
um there's a hierarchy like I can send you a video on this later because I
Yeah, but
watched it. There's the JDBC, then there's Hibernate that sits on top of that, then there's JPA which sits on top of it, and then there's things like Spring Data
yes,
JPA
but
which
that
sit
I
on
think
top
that's
of the
a
JPA.
different kind of hierarchy than we're. I think we're having a miscommunication error.
Probably.
Because I'm thinking of terms of like dependencies. So inside of the JDK rests the JPA. The JPA is just as a set of annotations that reside inside of the JDK, and Hibernate takes advantage of those annotations. Whereas I think you're thinking of terms of uh like abstraction.
Probably. Because like I know that Hibernate is generally essentially an ORM in itself
Yeah,
that
it is, and
utilizes
JPA
the
has
JPA.
nothing to do with ORMs, but ORMs do use the JPA.
Anyway, back to topic. Um, what is his token in validation class? Yeah, okay, so this is selecting all tokens, or I'm assuming they're tokens, token validations from here where subject
So
ID is this with parameter of,
So he is using some raw SQL here.
yep. So he's
So
selecting
if you
all,
have an ORM, why? So this is not criticism. This is just a question, and I would like to hear this from Ruben later. Why here are you selecting to use a raw SQL query as opposed to an ORM? I know there definitely are some niche uses because you need like there's some very complex queries that you just cannot easily create using an ORM. So writing the raw SQL queries has its place, but for this instance in particular, I want to know why because I don't know. I would actually like to know.
I mean, honestly, I just figured it, I figure it's something similar to where like when I use Spring Data JPA and I use if I'm using an interface that extends the JPA interface, um, I'm assuming that because I can just annotate it with a query and provide my own query versus letting it do its own thing.
Right, but
I wonder if this is just I wonder if this session create query, is there a session dot create in here, or do you always have to create it with a query? Hmm. Let me grab the sources, making that make this a little bit easier. The following overrides should not be necessary and are only needed to work around a bug for IntelliJ. That's actually interesting. So maybe that's why he's using it. Maybe he's using IntelliJ, and there's a maybe because there's a bug inside of the default way of doing it. So maybe or another way of doing it. So maybe this is why he's using it. I would like to hear that from Ruben actually. So Ruben, as you skim through this, give us a message in our DMs, and when you explain it to us, I will drop it as a pinned comment in the video so that our viewers can come back and get an answer as well. All right, so back on here, we are getting this token and then simply returning an optional of it. Um, where did we come from with this? Shoot, I lost my. Here we were. Okay. All right. So if it's invalidated, we're gonna throw an error saying that she's authorization failed. The token is invalid. Otherwise, we're gonna create the authenticated user, and we're gonna get the user based off the ID, which again is just going ahead and finding all and again using his same little thing. He's mapping his ID down here to the ID that gets provided. I guess there's no
Right.
I guess there's no string
It just doesn't
template for
seem
this.
very complex.
Oh, it's
So
not. It
I
seems
feel
very
like
straightforward, to be honest.
right, and I think that he could have taken advantage of the ORM in this instance, which is why
See,
I'm confused.
well, see again after reading the notes here, this note leads me to believe maybe Ruben is using IntelliJ, and this is only needed as a workaround because of a bug in IntelliJ. So it makes me wonder if he's using IntelliJ and that's why he's using this, or if there's some other reason. So again, I would really like to hear from him
Absolutely.
because I am
Let's move on to the next thing.
definitely curious on that. All right, so back here, we're grabbing the authenticated user, and then coming down here. So this logger, he did have it before as this, and the only little criticism I had was you don't need to be doing these string concatenations when you're using the
Right, you can use
logger.
the brackets.
You can just go with the straight up brackets, and the order the
Right.
brackets come in is the order of that these come in. And
Yep.
and before this, he was just simply creating an object and storing it so that he could then return it, which
Right.
because he's not doing anything to manipulate it, print it, log it, do anything with it, it could just be inlined as a straight return.
You know what? I'm not opposed to. So, in a nutshell, yes, you absolutely can. The reason I wouldn't necessarily do that is because one, maybe he was doing something with the auth token before, and like he was manipulating it in some sort of capacity, and then he just didn't want to refactor it and change another line. So I'm not gonna fault you for that because like it's also fine. I have no preference there whatsoever. I think they're both fine.
100%.
If anything, if anything, I would maybe like maybe 51% leaning towards the way that he had done it before. Just in the off chance that you did want to manipulate it. And then it's also named as well.
Very solid points.
But I don't I don't think you can go wrong with either.
So once we have that authentication response here, I like how he is then catching any of the authentication exceptions that he threw, and he is then returning an unauthorized concept with JSON, and looks like he's mapping um, error key value of error to authentication failed, and details to be whatever the message is that he was providing. Which again, I like that he's catching that and returning that. Um, and then other than that, he's sticking in some custom headers. Um, yeah, and that authentication. And again, I'm gonna hit you up with the old HTTP. Okay, if it's in here, there it is. Okay. Oh, oh, come on now. There we go. And we're all happy because the authentication works, and we now have a role of whatever the role is, and he has it as this requires the role of admin to even reach. this authentication test, which I also forgot to mention is a post request. And then lastly, we have another post request for invalidate, which goes into the invalidate controller and handles invalidating a token, and you have to be an admin to do so. So now, 400, really? Again, with magic numbers?
So one thing that I noticed a second ago, sorry, I was AFK for a second, is um, sorry, the amount of exceptions might be too plentiful because I feel like he's using exceptions in lieu of logic. Like instead of a method returning a boolean, whether or not it failed or not, he's just using exceptions to check if it failed, which is not necessarily the best thing. It's not wrong,
It's very
but it,
granular, to be
it
honest, I feel. I feel like it's very
yeah,
granular.
it seems like you're abusing the exceptions a little bit. Like I do like how you have exceptions, but I think that there's maybe too many. I think it's good to know when to use exceptions and when not to use exceptions.
I mean, I agree. There was definitely a lot of reasons that the authentication could fail, and I feel like it could be probably simplified a little bit.
Not only simplified, but maybe even if it fails, maybe you want to continue execution. Maybe you want to do something else if it fails. Because if you fail, like if you throw an exception, it's going to stop executing the code. But maybe let's say you failed the execution because you were unauthenticated, but then you wanted to do something if you were unauthenticated. Like for
Well,
instance, like redirect them to a different page.
well, he did wrap it in a try catch, and technically he could handle that down here,
No, I
but
understand, but that is definitely an abuse of exceptions.
mm,
You're using the try catch statement in lieu of if else, which it has
true,
its merit, right?
true.
But you need to know when to use it. When to use it and when not to use it are very important.
Hmm. I will agree with you there. Yes. Um, Jumping back here. So this one seems pretty straightforward, but let's check and see how he's invalidating his tokens. So in
Magic
here,
numbers.
oh, they're everywhere, everywhere. And 301, what is that to redirect? Why are we returning a 301 redirect for?
If you're not redirecting, right?
Yeah. Um, so this guy here obviously is okay, and I don't know why that added as result on that. Because we're returning the context. Anyway, so yeah, 301, 301. Yeah, 301s are redirects, and this one here is moved permanently. Interesting.
So then it is moved permanently.
The new URL is then
It
given as the response, so like he should be then providing an actual redirect. But this looks like it's just
well
a
he's
message.
not providing a redirect. He's
Mm-hmm.
providing what was error code 301 again, sorry?
A redirect. It means that the page has moved permanently.
Not in the class. It was moved permanently.
Yeah, but all
So
all
so
300 errors are redirects.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
200,
okay, okay,
200,
okay. I understand.
200s are okay, 300s are redirects, 400s are client errors, and 500s are internal server errors. So like that's why I'm wondering why is he returning a redirect error here? I think he meant to return, is it 401 for un or bad no, unauthorized is 401. Um, I'm not. You might mean conflict. It might be a conflict. Like what is it? Couldn't invalidate token. Okay, so that could just be like a bad request even.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so yeah, Ruben, I would definitely change this to something that does not mean redirect. Um, Feel free to go into the HTTP status and read through some of these. You can also check out these job docs, um, as they provide a little bit of insight as to what each of these mean. Uh, but so we're going to invalidate tokens. So what are we taking in here? Invalidate takes a subject ID and date issued and expiration date. And wait, what? So we're creating a token invalidation, and then we're just saving it to the repo. What is what does that even do? I thought that we would be like going in and taking the token out of the database, like we're like removing the refresh token, and unless we're like, okay, token is invalidated for. Okay, so the token issue, and we're okay. So we're looking for any token any invalid tokens or token invalidations. But I feel like this could be a list of them. Like okay, no, I suppose it's only one user. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so where is this being used? This is being used in a few of these. This is being used in the Auth service. Okay, yes, we did look here to make sure that it's not okay, then I'm not exactly against that. You're storing a user ID and an issue date to see if that's been invalidated. You're invalidating that's your store. Okay, I can see I can see that. Okay, it's not as confusing anymore. um, and then where did we come from here? From the main. Okay, and then we're catching all validation exceptions. Okay, so we're only catching validation exceptions here, um, as a global catch-all, and that's when we're returning a bad request of error, whatever. Okay, validation exception seems to be a Javelin exception. Da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, that is a Javelin exception. Okay. And then we're jumping into the initialization service, and we're going to start up an admin user. Okay, so we're grabbing username and password from environment variables. Da 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 da. User exists with admin. Then we're going to skip it because they're already stored. Otherwise, we're going to create that user. Now, creating a user, are we providing the role that we're giving the user? Is that what this is? Role, username, password,
So,
hash.
okay,
Da, da, da. Why are we
I might
provide?
I want to
Oops.
give a little bit of input. So in code, you're creating an admin user, and you're persisting it to the database, right? Instead, what I would do is I would have the admin user in a database. I would never, in a million years, have a function that creates an admin user. That seems like
A big
the biggest
security.
attack vector. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
everybody will try to attack that function. How can I get that function called,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you could just have it in the database,
Well, I
like
mean, this is again
said
like
done.
there's this is his initial thing,
Yeah, so
which again
this would be
I can
good
agree with.
in this would be good in like a production environment, or sorry, not production environment, a debug environment, right? Where like
A test
let's say
environment
you
even.
didn't have, yeah, a test environment. Uh, if you didn't already have a database and you're generating the database, you'd want this code to be run um, if you were initializing the database, right? You do not want this in prod.
100%, I agree with you. Oh, okay, that's why he's passing the hash one too. Okay, I was wondering why he was naming that as a password hashed. Okay, okay, that makes more sense. All right, so he's unsafely creating an admin account, and we're checking to see if okay, so if that is the username or the password or null, throw an exception, and he's just using an illegal argument for that one. He went custom with all the other ones except for that one apparently. Um, Looks like he's seeing if the user already exists. Then we throw an error saying if the user already exists, choose a different one. Um, Otherwise, we're creating a new user with that role, and we're saving that user to our users database. And apparently he wants to move this exists method into the repository itself, which I can see that as being as a default option in the repository. Yeah. Cool. So that's the user service. Where did we come from? We were in Maine at one point. That's how I think I got here. Yeah, because it was start of this. Okay. So next we have this token invalidation cleanup service. So what does this cleanup service do? So we start this, we're creating a scheduled event, okay, which is a new single thread scheduled executor. And we are scheduling this at a fixed rate with an initial delay of 30 minutes and then run every 30 minutes this clean method. So we are now going to clean expired tokens or clean expired token invalidations, which we're coming down here and apparently this is deprecated. Oh, the other one was passing in classes. This one's not. Anyway, so we're coming in and we're deleting all token invalidation tokens where token invalidation, which token invalidation stored until. Why are we only invalidating for a certain period of time? What happens if the user logs in after that? And like, would this clean, would this wind up wiping that person's, like, if I had a token that had a refresh token or like it was being invalidated, supposed to be invalidated, and I just haven't logged in during that session, is this going to basically make that token like what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm a little curious on that. Um, but anyway, we are checking to see if the date of now. So we're looking to see if this is less than now. So before now. Um, Then we're going to execute the update and return how many of these that we have deleted. And we're going to commit the transaction. Okay, session create core. Okay, and then return how many we deleted. Okay. So every half hour, we're just going to run this, and it looks like we had a stop method that just never gets called. So this is essentially going to continuously run. I don't remember
Does it
seeing a
ever get
shut.
called with reflection? Can you go back to that other class?
Sorry, I'm just checking this. Okay, it's not. In here.
So that stop function, it's not inheriting any interface or abstract class. So yeah, and could it ever be called via reflection? Can you look for parentheses stop at parentheses?
Well, I mean, I just looked for stop with parentheses, and it only showed up in 3 places.
Yeah, but look for
Two of them are the
parentheses.
same.
That's not what I don't want a reference to that function though. This is different. With reflection, they use string literals, right? So it's not going to, no, those are parentheses.
That's what you
Oh,
said.
did I say
Parent.
parentheses?
Yes, you
Sorry,
did.
my bad. I meant quotation marks. Sorry, my bad. Quotation marks, stop, quotation marks, and then remove the parentheses.
Not.
And there's nothing. So yeah, that function is never being called in this code base whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that could be
Which leads me,
deleted.
to think, no, like not that it should be deleted, um, because this here, theoretically, like this should be shut down at some point, because if for some reason a straggling thread moved on,
Yes, yes,
there should be some sort of shutdown called for this. So like
yes. You're correct.
I feel like this should be set up in a different way, so that if for some reason this gets shut down while there's a thread that's being off the main thread, it doesn't get recognized, then you're going to wind up with this running process that never stops
Right.
because
So
this is never called.
you're definitely right. So the function shouldn't be removed. It should just be called.
Hmm.
It should be called when it's dying.
Which is what I came in here for, because I wanted to see if he had any sort of runtime shutdown hook set up in here. Because I didn't remember seeing one, but I wanted to just double check that I didn't see one. Generally, like myself, for example, whenever I like create a project, I would come into here and I would do something. I believe it's like system uh, dot is it shutdown or runtime properties or oh I forget what it is now. There's a shutdown runtime dot get runtime dot add a shutdown hook, which is essentially um, just a runnable, I believe. No, it's not. It is a thread. Sorry, shit. See, I usually just make
I
a new class that extends the thread.
I do apologize. My son's still awake and it's bedtime, so I've got to get off and spend a little son time, son daddy time.
Yeah, no worries, dude. Um,
So I will, if I'm still awake and you guys are still streaming, I will be back on. Other than that, I will be off for maybe 30 minutes or so, and I'll talk to you later, man, and see the viewers later potentially. I know it's late. It is very late.
okay, we'll talk to you in a
All
bit,
right.
Aiden. Hopefully, you're,
Yep.
hopefully
See you in a
we'll
few.
chat with you in a bit. All right. So yeah, my advice to you there, Ruben, would be to add a shutdown hook so that um, there's no chance, because there is a chance that your scheduled executor service can go off thread, and essentially, if you shut the service down, it's still running as a background thread, and thus the only way to kill it is to essentially kill the background or kill the process through a either through a task manager or through a if you're in Linux, it's like kill process or kill Java or whatever. You wind up having to kill the Java process itself, which can be a little frustrating. And if you're unaware of that leak, it can lead to some rerunning processes in the background that run continuously. Whereas if you have a shutdown hook, you can make sure that your executors are being stopped properly. Uh, so that would be one thing I would take away from here with your cleanup service. Um, yeah. Um, okay, so I think we've been through just about almost every class. So like, let's look at the models. We have an access model token. I believe we saw response. I love that he's using Java records for these. That honestly kind of excites me. The roles we saw are user and admin. This token invalidation. Um, This here, again, I would just say this is public. It satisfies the issues that we have, or that you may have. And then uh, I like here how you are making sure that these are not nullable, or sorry, that these are not null. And I like that you're uh, stating that you want the date to be that of a timestamp. Uh, I do like that. There's a lot. There's honestly, there's not a lot of bad things in this code that I find. Like honestly, like I'm being a little nitpicky when I search through this, um, primarily because I feel like I have to be nitpicky because, like, your code is your honestly your code is well written. So popping into here, we've already been through that, been through this. Services, we've been through here, we've talked about this. The init service, we've talked about this, and why it's bad that yeah. Okay. Token invalidation, we've been through here. Um, Token invalidation, yeah, okay, we've been through that. Creating the job. Oh, okay, so here we go with generating the job. I don't think we actually looked at this, or I might have skipped over it. So here, I think that was when Hayden first joined in the call. So when we generate the job, if the user's null, the type is null, or the expiration is null, we're throwing some of those exceptions. If we have a token type of refresh token, then we're taking a refresh token hard limit, which is the one that we complained about at 6 months. Where are we at? Oh my god, where are we at? Okay. Otherwise, the access token. Did we see the access? Oh, the access token. Okay, for 2 hours. Again, those two, I would go more like 15 minutes and more like 7 days. Um, yeah. And we're coming down, and we're coming down. We're providing the private key, and we are making the issuer be that of the YYCAS, the issue date of now, the expiration date of when we told it, with the subject of the user ID, the claim that the username is the username, and the role is, of course, this role. Now, but what if the user had more than one role in your system? I feel like this should more be a roles claim, and that this should, instead of being a single string, should be an array of strings that is broken up, so that way you can have a user can have more than just one role, and that way you can segregate sections. Like, say if you only want a developer to be able to access certain things right now while they're in like a testing environment, say, um, or like you have an admin, or potentially you have maybe a moderator, or maybe you have some other type of user. Um, people can have a user role and an admin role. They can have a user role and a moderator role. They can have a user role and something else. And generally, when we're building out systems, generally we do things in a way that we're providing a user with more than one role. Um, so for this one here, I would probably change that from role to roles, and then change this to be that of um, an array of roles. And that way I would come in here and the user role. This again, I would make it into a plural thing. I would make it into um, a list of roles. And again, up here, same thing. Um, Now, what I generally do, or what I generally have, would be a separate entity for role. Instead of having it be here, I would have this, um, I would have that in a separate database table and have it be something called user roles. And then I would assign the user ID with each individual. So, like, there would be a database table of users in, say, one side, and then there'd be of um, a database of user roles. So now you can have a list of user roles that fetches that table and gets all results based on the user ID. And you can do that in Spring Boot. You do that with some annotations. Um, you're using Jakarta. Yeah, you're using Jakarta. So you should be able to do the same thing here. Um, yeah, so you'd be able to do join columns, name, role ID, um, reference column, ID, and you could just say, actually, I guess that's all we really need there. But you could then simply just say that you're looking for the role ID. So you're looking for this, which matches up with here. So the reference column is ID. So that's here. And now you want to get the role ID. So like you would have a um, a public class role, or user role, whatever, and it would be an entity that would have a unique ID in itself, and then it would have a string user ID or user name, or role, whatever, and that would be your thing like role underscore admin, role underscore user, role underscore developer, that would be where you would assign your roles to. Um, and that would be how I would go about this, because then that way you could just simply turn this into a jeepers, what am I doing? You could then turn that into a list if I can type, um, and that would work as well. And then of course you'd have to set up the rest of that. But that's how I would go about this. Uh, I don't know why I'm putting that back there, but I'm putting that back there. All right, so that's what I would personally do, and I would make this, again, be able to then have a list of user roles, rather than just a single role. Um, Now, I like how you used this one. You used these here, but you didn't in the other one. I think that's a little funny. Now, um, and then of course we're loading the keys, which looks like you're using this through the regular. Okay, using the RSA, using the this, you set the private spec, and the private key. Okay, and we're passing that all in through this location, which comes through um, whatever class I read that in before. So your token invalidation service checks for the user here. We've already been through this. Um, this looks like you're reusing it multiple times. So I feel like this is the second time I've seen this, or third time. Um, so it's pushing the boundaries of being needed to be abstracted and stuck into something else, like a utility class maybe. Um, I say that just because I think this is because if this shows up a third time, then I'm definitely going to recommend it. But considering you're using it here, there, okay, we're not using it there, we're not doing it there, not doing it there, we're not doing it there. Okay, okay. And user service, we're not doing it in there. Okay, we've already read through it. Okay, so that's just borderline, borderline. If that had to have come up one more time, it would have been time to have thrown it into an abstract utility class or into the auth utility, technically. Um, but anyway, so that's the end of the services. We've seen the auth utility. We've commented on this. The password utility, we're just using um, Aragon 2 from the password for J, which I love. Utilities are done. The auth controller, we've been through both of those. The only thing we haven't looked at was this database setup that you got going on for SQL. And I do not have the data directory, so again, I can't run this. I can't run this locally. However, um, I can't really argue this. This all looks really solid. I probably wouldn't have, stated all of this. I probably just would have done this and then just imported the class. Um, Same thing with this. And I do apologize for this live stream, but again, I've had way too much coffee and not enough bladder, and I will be back in just a moment. All right, I am very sorry for that. Again, too much coffee, not enough bladder. Um, so again, we're using Hibernate's connection here with the JVDC. I don't have the data file, so I don't have the database. I could just create. I believe this would be created and it'd be all empty. um, but I also don't have. There's a few things that I'm missing that I wish I had, like the RSAs, and I don't have time to generate my own. Um, but yeah, I would do a little bit. These are like the only little tweaks and changes again here, and um, honestly, I feel You are right, Prof. Um, honestly, I don't have a lot of negative things to say here. Um, this this is this has been pretty straightforward. Um, all of these authentications, like you don't need this one in here, so I probably get rid of that. Looks like your endpoint not found exception is never used. Um, so that might be something you can just delete. User already exists. Again, no args constructor you can get rid of. Um, User not found. In this case, you're actually using the no args versus the what? Oh, okay, you're doing that just for the lambda expression. Okay, okay. Okay. So in this case, what I would do here, personally, would be I would return user not found exception and pass in a default string, which, sorry, this could be, oh, it's because it's a return, right? Jeepers. So yeah, we do this one here, do this. Honestly, it's a horrible, horrible thing. We'll just call this. And we'll just simply say something like user not found. So that way we're not just throwing an empty runtime exception. Like, so this is what I would do here, since you're just using a lambda for this, I would just overload it so that you're returning essentially the same thing with the default string. Um, Again, I'm just being extremely nitpicky here because Ruben, you gave me some clean code, dude. I expect I expect worse from you, man. Like, come on, give me something I can criticize. Give me something I can roast you on. It's honestly a very clean code. I did not really have a whole lot that I could pick apart. Um, and I mean, like, again, there wasn't much that I could rip into. Um, it, it's honestly pretty good. It's a good clean code base. Um, I must say, good job. Honestly. Um, well, that about that is about it for this one because by the looks of it, my copy is run out and we've reached the end of the code. So, Ruben, if you have any other code that or any other modules you'd like me to review or like myself and Hayden to review, maybe he'll be around a little more for the next one. By all means, drop me a message. Tell me which module you'd like me to review next. If you guys have enjoyed this little review, give me a thumbs up. Let me know this review was good. If any of our viewers happen to have something that you'd like us to review, uh, I'm proficient in Java, so don't give me something like C++, prof. I'm not gonna know how to read it to give you a proper to give you a proper roasting or like a code clean. Um, but again, if you guys enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified when I go live, when I go put up new videos. I We are going live in 2 days' time again. Hayden and I are going to be doing the Dev Cafe podcast. We are going to have Sentry Man on with us, and we're going to talk about his dependency injection system. So if you enjoyed today, if you've used Javelin, if you've used Spring Boot, and you're enjoying frameworks that do dependency injection for you and do magic under the hood, we have an amazing podcast coming up on Sunday evening at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Highly recommend you check it out. What can I say? It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. And we got a pretty exciting guest with us, so make sure you tune in. As always, keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and that coffee cup full. I'll catch you in the next one, guys.